Team India viewers, welcome to the second episode of Mapping Retail Real Estate Leadership Series. Today with us, we have Yogeshwar Sharma, who is the CEO and Executive Director of Select CityWalk. And he has been steering Select CityWalk for the last many years. Today, it's one of the best shopping centers in the country. Hello, Yogeshwar.
Hi, Shubhranshu.
And I am Shubhranshu, your host. I am in the retail team of JLL. Retail in JLL is one of the key divisions, and we operate in retail high streets and shopping centers across over 150 cities. With that small introduction of ourselves, we'll straight away get into a conversation with Yogeshwar. Yogeshwar, this is a very casual chat, and we would just love to know how and what has been going on in the industry over the last 1-2 years. But to start off with and to set a context, I thought a lot on the COVID situation, and it seems to be going on and on and on. So I just think that somewhere we'll have to differentiate between the different phases of what happened on COVID in the industry, and then what happened for the retailers and what happened for the shopping center developers. So with that context, if I can take you back to when the initial phase of COVID had started and the malls were locked down, how did the developers and the retailers and the consumer handle it?
Yeah, thanks, Shubhranshu. I'm very delighted to be part of this discussion. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. So when this pandemic hit and everybody was shocked and with no sense of what is going to happen, it was really very uncertain future, because vaccine was nowhere in the future. No visibility on vaccine was zero, and the businesses came to a standstill with no idea of when will they open and how will be the recovery. So first lockdown was definitely very tough for everyone. And once it started opening, then also it was very uncertain that how the recovery will happen. And that's why there were too many discussions, too many arguments, too many debates that what is the right way of going forward. So when the second wave happened, the second wave was even more drastic and more dangerous, and every family got affected in some way or the other. But surprisingly, the recovery this time is much better, and there is some like a sort of confidence that people who are vaccinated, they are visiting the mall, people have like a better way of handling it. So coming to the business side of it, after first pandemic, first lockdown, when it opened up to the public, it took a lot of time to reconcile the fact that what would be the rental, what is the fair way to go forward. And ultimately it had to be a collaborative approach. But having said that, reaching a collaborative approach took some time, because either side was not sure that what's going to happen. And in some cases, like some people took advantage also of the situation, saying that they asked for a long-term benefit, though we were not sure whether how long this will be the situation. But we learned our lessons very quickly in the first after the recovery phase, and we were better equipped to handle the second lockdown and the recovery post that.
One of the things which has always been a delight for me and a surprise to some extent was that Select CityWalk, being one of the best shopping centers and genuinely one of the best across the country, and also a regional center, had a great advantage, which I realized because I have been tracking it very closely, that the consumer in your centers came back very quickly and in full force. I just wanted to know, is that because it was a regional center and people needed some outlet, or was it something different which you did for that confidence and for people to come back so much? The degree of in which they came back to your center was much more than the other centers.
So there are two aspects of it. One is the catchment, and the second is the partnership with retailers, the brand mix or the brands available within the mall. both are equally important. So we have, we are like sitting in one of the wealthiest catchment of India, South Delhi. That really helps because the catchment is fully aware of the brands. They are well traveled. They have disposable income, and they were not traveling during these times, so they had some money up their sleeves they could spend. And like everyone else, people were really bored of sitting at home, and they really wanted to come out. So that was one factor which is entirely credit goes to the catchment where we are sitting in. Second aspect is that how do we connect with retailers and brand mix what we have, and how do we give them the confidence to open up quickly? Because if we keep debating among ourselves that what should be the fair rental during the recovery phase, it is we are discussing in isolation, because the real payer is the consumer. Unless consumer comes back to the center and shopping happens, then either I bear the pain or the retailer bears the pain. It's almost no living at each other's expense. On the other hand, if shopping starts happening, then the business model becomes much easier to deal with, and even retailer gets a confidence that whatever he's committing is not in the dark. There is some sense or some hope that he is able to see footfalls, he's able to see conversions, and then he is more confident of what he can afford to pay. Similarly, from landlord side, as a shopping center development side, we also felt that once retailer is able to bring customers and do sales, then it is much easier to demand the rental or request him to be fair to the landlord as well, because this entire pain should not be borne by one party. That was one mandate we were working with, and this really helped. And the only logic or the strategy or tactic, you name it whatever, was that we had to be a little agile and flexible. What happens when you are running a shopping center for some time, then there are benchmarks of rentals for each shop. And now these benchmarks are not virtual, these are real, because this is real money flowing in. So to break those benchmarks sometimes in your mind becomes very difficult. So collaborative approach, as I mentioned, was one of the main factors where we felt, okay, this is the benchmark, we have to reach this number, but maybe not immediately from day one, maybe week 3, week 5, week 7. We cannot dilute that, but at the same time, we cannot forget the real picture in front of us, where the footfalls were low in the initial phase of recovery. So we had to be agile and flexible, and talk too much with the retailer. Don't really engage with the retailer, that give him the confidence that, okay, you start business, bring in your merchandise, bring in your staff, start selling. And when sales happen, we know the benchmarks, there are signed agreements at the end of the day. So agility and flexibility and the bandwidth to deal, because we have one center, so we have also this advantage that we can know we are like engaged with each retailer on almost weekly basis, and we know what is happening. So sometimes there were stock issues which were not attributable to us, there were some other issues. So we have to be very flexible and agile to deal with the such situations, because this nobody could have ever planned what happened last 2 years.
Whilst we are at that, the interesting thing you mentioned about engaging with the retailer, how did you engage with the consumer in this difficult time? And as such, you also see like a large catchment. How do you engage with all types of consumer? Do you have some formula, and what did you do during the COVID time?
So, though we have been operational for very many years, but still the challenge remains how much do we know our consumer, and that's always elusive. Consumer is upgrading so quickly, coming from satellite towns for immediate neighborhood for different reasons they're coming. And finally, I'm beginning to understand that shopping centers are not only for shopping. Shopping happens because people want to come out. They have occasions at home. They want to celebrate. They want to create memories. So they want to come out. And the mall has to give that confidence that, okay, you come here, we will give you, like, just to give an example, pre-COVID days, we did 252 events in 1 year. So you can imagine that how much one has to invest on daily basis. That it's not that you build a shopping center, lease the shop, and then the job is over. In fact, the job starts from that day when you lease the shop, and then you have to make that retailer successful, and eventually the shopping center will be successful. So in our understanding, I mean, limited understanding, I'll very clearly say that society is made of many subsets. There's no one society or one catchment. Even if you take any category, even you take fitness, within fitness there are running groups, there are cycling groups, there are aerobic groups, there are yoga groups. So there are brand loyalists for Adidas, for Puma, for Asics. I mean, so one has to try and get engaged with these, give them reasons to come to the shopping center. Similarly, various cultural backgrounds, you have to celebrate from Ganesh Chaturthi to Raksha Bandhan to any Diwali or Christmas or any festival which comes our way. For giving a reason for consumer, I mean, there is a desire to come out for sure. I mean, there's no denial in that. No, I mean, online shopping is definitely picking up, and we have a lot of respect for online shopping. But at the same time, consumers want to come out. There is a desire. So how do we convert that desire into actual sales? Is like giving them a reason to come out. So if we have some celebration, so marketing has to be really given a lot of credit, that they have to think out of the box, they have to increase the loyal customers, they have to talk about what they are doing. And one very important factor which most of us forget many times is that shopping center may not have a story every day, but the 200 retailers in the mall have stories every week. They have a new color or new shipment coming up, new merchandise to showcase, new shoe launch, as every retailer has some story. So shopping center has to really highlight that story or take it to the bigger. Every retailer tries to do that to their limited loyalty consumers. But if the same story is like made viral to the shopping center consumers, then it becomes much easier. And I honestly, I mean, like to admit that there are so many stories, hidden stories in each shop, which we are ignoring. I mean, which consumer wants it and retailer has it, but we have to bridge the gap somehow to take that story. So marketing and communication becomes one of the critical aspect. And once they come, and the story has to be really real, because consumer is very discerning. So they can come once or twice, but if they find the story not right or not appropriate to their what they thought about it, then they will have disappointment and the next visit becomes difficult. So we have to highlight the stories of retailers to the larger audience, and we have to keep doing it. I mean, it's not one day. I mean, every day, every weekend is a new weekend. Every day is a new day. Birthday is important. And there are many occasions in Indian families, so we have to give them a reason to come out.
Brings us to an interesting point which you did mention, which was the rise of e-commerce. And one of the things which has been the talk of the town or maybe the globe is with the plethora of online and offline shopping and the convergence of the buy anywhere, they will get it delivered from anywhere, the last mile pickup and the first mile, when you click somewhere, they get it delivered from somewhere, the store is existing somewhere else, the product gets picked from somewhere else. How does a mall developer like you make sure that you capture some part of the e-commerce sale, which is at least attributable to you in at least one of the three legs, which is either it has been clicked at your store or delivered from your store, or maybe returned at your store? I mean, how do you capture the online e-commerce sales, which is attributable to you?
So this challenge, I mean, we have been facing from last 4-5 years for sure now, maybe 6 years now, where there is omni-channel sales are happening, wherein a retailer is able to book a sales online and deliver from the store, or when the consumer is at the store, so he's able to sell it online through their iPads and all that. So this was a very difficult challenge, but slowly it is settling down in the sense that both parties understand that there is a need. Maybe the role played by a shopping center is little less in maybe online sales, or in offline sales. I mean, there is a major role played by the shopping center. So we came across these situations from even the anchor spaces and even the smaller mom and pop stores, where everybody is trying to capture the customer. And if we deal with this problem very neutrally, not feeling that retailer is trying to cheat is a very strong word. I mean, if a retailer is not trying to book the sales there, and then we lose the revenue share there. So there are instances, and there were instances where these things happen, maybe out of ignorance, because retailer does not want to lose the sales, which is his prime objective. I mean, whether he is able to book it online or offline is a secondary question. He will not like to lose the sales. So I mean, we took some time to digest this issue, because this is a real life situation. If they don't deliver from my store, they will deliver from some other store. I mean, they have many stores in the city, or they can even directly ship it from a storehouse or warehouse or a cloud kitchen, like for example, in the case of food. So we had to really sit with the retailers and understand that if you hide something, I mean, it will be out in some time. You can not disclose that sale for 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, but ultimately it becomes very visible in due course of time. And with kind of respect we have for our retailers, and retailers has for us, it is better to discuss this out, and slowly people started opening up. Retailers have started opening up. They have started disclosing, okay, can I do this? No, like if I booked something online which was not your customer, but I forced him to collect it from the store, so I will not be able to give you 100% revenue share on that. 100%, when I say 100%, whatever is agreed upon. So can you give me some discount on the revenue share there? So we said, okay, but it has to be very, very fair, and not the other way around. The customer is here and you're trying to sell him online. So all combinations, there is a clear mathematics possible if both parties come very openly and discuss this transparently to find a solution which is workable in the interest of the consumer and in the interest of the sale transaction, because that is the key. If the sale transaction is not happening, I mean, then whether it's offline, online, doesn't matter. And as a shopping center manager, we have to understand, all of us have to understand that there's no two customers. I mean, the same customer buys online, there's the same customer buys offline, so number of visits. So we have to support that customer to come more often to the shopping center, at the same time, not at the cost of that buying only on offline, not online. So this combination is working very well. We don't have to go out and see. We look at our own families, our own friends, and this is happening all over. So we have to embrace this new challenge which has come, that how much should be the rental or how much should be the revenue share for online consumer and offline consumer, and if there's a mix of both. And I'm very, very sure that with now a lot of experience, we can sit down and have an open discussion about it. Earlier, we were trying to avoid it, or the retailer was trying to avoid it. But now nobody wants to cut corners, because eventually it comes into the light. So sitting together and finding a midway where they also feel convinced, and we also feel that we have not been taken for a ride is the right way.
So you have been able to do a formula with all the retailers separately, or it's a standard formula for all?
It cannot be a standard formula, because each category has a different revenue share. I mean, no, in a shopping center, as you will appreciate, revenue share goes from 1% to 25%. No, that's the range from the food to the coffee, and within coffee, different players can afford different occupancy cost. So this is directly linked to the occupancy cost of the retailer, and how much one should take that occupancy cost. As we discuss in any new deal, rent or MG or minimum guaranteed rent or a revenue share. Similarly, this is the third element which emerges, that if there's a combination of online and offline, and what should be the right amount of rental or the commission, or we call it what a fee, which we should be paid to the shopping center, which protects both sides and helps the consumer win at the end of it.
That's a good in a detailed explanation. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from that and reach out to you to understand some of the nuances. The next question this brings to is, do you see that let's put it this way, what are the few new trends that you're seeing in the retail industry and in the shopping center business?
So, I mean, with COVID-19, everybody has had time to reflect on life and know where we are running. And I feel that there's a drastic change. The frequency of buying has gone up. People want to spend their spare money, and they really want to celebrate the occasions. They really want to come out of the house and in a safe and secure environment. So one important factor which is very visible is that the frequency of buying has gone up. Number two, people are very health conscious in terms of athleisure category, where you have the sportswear category and athleisure category, which is more casual fashion, has gone up. And formal clothing is taking a little time to come back, and it's a little slow. But if you see, the sneakers market has gone, I mean, every even leather goods brand is also making sneakers these days. So the casual fashion has picked up very well. Fitness has picked up very well, and cafes and where all day casual dining. Though with the limitation of seats also, like I mean, in most of the cities, there's a limitation of 50% seating. Still, the sales numbers are not 50%. They're definitely much higher, like close to 80-90%. In some cases, it's 100% with 50% occupancy. So all day casual dining has really picked up. People want the reasons to come out and have a lunch or a coffee or a breakfast. Yeah.
One of the things I noticed, and I know I would like you to reconfirm it, is do you really think the consumption, the per person consumption of customer has changed? Earlier, because of COVID, they wanted to shop more at once, but now generally people are shopping more and spending more.
Yes.
I mean, that.
Yeah, I mean, I have grown up hearing consumption theory of India. I mean, there's a lot of consumption, which has to open up. I personally feel now the time has come. The consumption, even if you see the online sales, whatever we do in so many days, the online people are able to do it in a 1 day or a 3 days on a 20th Republic Day or a Independence Day. So the consumption is there. The story is not false. It's true story. India consumption theory is very real. Only thing is the right pricing and accessibility was the issue. Now, with the help of e-commerce, I mean, if you see, and even if you forget e-commerce for a minute, the tier 2 and tier 3 are doing extremely well. I speak to a lot of brands every day, and they confirm that most of the cities we like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, they are a little saturated, and the rentals are high, and the sales throughput is reaching saturation somewhere. But the tier 2, tier 3 cities have a lot of scope and commercially more viable. So, and these metros will continue to grow because of the disposable income and influx of people from all satellite towns. So the one trend is very clear, that consumption theory is right and is now really opening up. And I'm very optimistic, and I'm cautiously optimistic that it is the people are consuming more, and they're happy to spend, and they're now brand conscious. People are like upgrading from one brand to another brand. So we see this story whole day in the mall. Just to give an example, some beauty brands have like done 200% sales in the first month of opening up. For example, June 7th we opened after COVID, and July sales, if you see, for some of the brands like Chanel, Dior, and good brands, they exceeded 200% of the pre-COVID era. So some certain categories are really people want to look good, and this is a real story. There's no doubt about it.
That's lovely to hear, and actually music to ears if you're on revenue share and you get every percentage of every penny. I'm sure you'll be laughing your head.
Our first endeavor, Shubhranshu, as a shopping center manager, was that if the retailer is healthy, I mean, he'll be a little compassionate and pay rentals and everything on time. If the retailer himself is not healthy and not able to sell, then it becomes more difficult. Then that makes our job more difficult.
I agree, and I think it's a collaboration between the developer and the retailer, and consumer is the king. I think that's the motto. Everybody tells it, but listening to you and seeing how you walk the talk has been very informative. Now, how do you think the retail, the norm of retail centers is going to be changing now? And is there going to be changes in design, changes in the ways we incorporate these rules of social distancing, walking linear, and all those kind of things? Do you foresee that in the near future there will be some aspects which will be there and some of them are temporary? What's your view? Which one is
my one though whatever limited experience I have in that sense, I say that the sizing of the shopping center is very, very critical, because if you make it big mall in a catchment which it can't support, then there's always a pressure on the rental. Your averages will go down substantially. On the other hand, if it's a small center, then some new center will come up next to it, which is much bigger, better, and then no, you will lose the advantage. So sizing of the shopping center and the story of the shopping center has to be more carefully crafted. For example, is it a neighborhood center where you have fitness, you have grocery, you have, so instead of living in some illusion that someday shopping center will start working, there is majority of it is a science. Some bit of art is also part of it, and you can never be 100% right on this. But there are enough mistakes, there are enough now good resources available in the market. The tools are available. You know what is the spending habit. Earlier it was all very difficult, legwork to find out the. Now with the technology, there is so much of data available. Now number of mistakes should reduce significantly. When I say that, means that the probability of success of a shopping center should not only be left to that one day it will start working. There are many tools available where you can predict that you need, if this is the size of the center, these are the branch you are keeping, then this is the catchment, then how many number of people you need in the mall to make it happen, and what will be the average bill size, what will be the trading density. So we can work backwards. So many times when anybody plans a shopping center, I come across some requests that, okay, we are doing this. So the stories are very good, but is it practical, feasible, and is it a business case scenario? Because ultimately, if it's not making money, then it's not a business case scenario. So, or maybe we are dreaming that, or maybe after 10 years hence it will start working. No, I mean, the retailers don't have patience these days like any other day. They really want the business to make money. Otherwise, earlier they used to hesitate to shut a shop, but the new learning I have from retailers is that now they don't wait for long. If some store is not making money, or if the reasons of being present in a shopping center is not delivering, then they don't mind. I mean, earlier shutting a shop was somewhere stigma. You have shut too many stores, maybe the choice was wrong. But now, yesterday I met one of F&B guys, and he was taking pride that, okay, out of 110 stores, like 10 stores were not working out, and I didn't see hope in next like 1 to 2 years. And then he was very happy to shut those stores and make a statement about it, that, okay, maybe this catchment is not ready yet, and they will come back to the catchment after 2 years, 3 years. So people, even retailers are not emotionally in love with the locations these days. If it's not making money for them, they will take hard calls.
I think that's a brilliant thing you captured. I have always had the view that at the end of the day, the stores are meant for serving the consumer, but also making profit. And retailers should always be sure why he is running that store. And it's good that the retailers have started getting a sense of it, and maybe COVID taught them faster. Because I kept hearing many thoughts that some of the stores which were, which they were willing to wait in the past, they are not willing to wait in the current moments. And I hope this learning stays, because I think one of the things which I realized is there are so many learnings in COVID's time, which was actually normal, and it should have been there. If you are having a store and it's not running well, it's normal to see why, try to improve, or take a decision. I think that learning has come. Maybe it's time, and its time had come. So let's move to the next part of it. What do you think of the future of malls?
So, I mean, I'm all in for shopping centers, because shopping centers create an environment where it's a natural choice of a family, or to move out of house. And it is they are going to stay. I mean, for sure, they will be buzzing more, I feel. And I have seen this after COVID also, that people want to come out. They just have to give them a reason, or they have to find a reason to come out. Only thing, coming back to the same point, that it has to be it is a living organism. I mean, you can't just leave it there. You have to feed it every day. When I say feed it, it means not doing something new, something, thinking out of the box, giving a reason to retailer to come when retailer comes. Even now, changing music in the shopping center makes a huge difference. So which sometimes gets ignored many times. And what time of the day, what you play. So we tried playing some live music in the center, and it really uplifts your mood. Immediately in the center, and people come and click pictures. So and it's not all money driven. And trust me, there are enough talent here. There are enough reasons and ideas. Only thing is, one has to really be involved. You can't take your eyes off a shopping center. That's what my learning is, that you have to be fully involved. You should know, like when I say you, the shopping center manager has to really be fully aware to the extent possible. I know it's not possible to know fully what is going behind the retailer's desk, but at least the reaction time has to be faster, so that if retailer is not having enough stock, if they don't have enough marketing stories, so there is a problem. So one has to really so focusing on the retailers, because they ultimately they are the ones who are taking money out of the consumer and then paying occupancy cost and rental to the shopping center. So working closely with them, not having like a 6 month meeting or a yearly meeting. One has to meet them more often to understand what is going on the ground.
So I think we are reaching the end of our allocated time. One of the questions I had was, and you've been a professional for a long while in the shopping center industry and managing a center for a long while. Do you see a distinct change in the retailer fraternity on how they used to look at shopping centers and the consumer, and how they are looking at it now? Because most of them, since we started, and I started with a lot of brands with, when they had only 1 or 2 stores, and today they have 300, 400 stores. I'm sure that's a lot of learning under the belt. And I'm sure retail in India has gone to a level which is really, I would say, mature or near mature. Because we used to always compare ourselves and say we are, 10 years, 20 years behind US when it comes to retailer, when it comes to understanding the consumer or what to do about merchandising. What's your view? Where have the retailer fraternity reached in innovation and understanding the consumer?
So I personally feel that retailers are really much mature now to take. Every retail store has a subjective story behind a brand or a merchandise and anything they try to sell or to create. Now they're also being objective about it, that what is this for? At the end of it, it has to make some sense financially and commercially. So I feel retailers now have learned lessons, like we have learned our lessons. They have also learned their lessons very seriously, and they are much more wiser. They know that some locations deserve higher cost of occupancy. They also know the reasons of being present. They also know that maybe a cheaper location may not be worth its price, because ultimately if the sales are not happening, then it's expensive in any which ways. So I feel that even cost of fit outs, though it has gone up, but the quality of fit outs also have gone up significantly high. When we see the stores in the mall, every retailer is trying to do something better. They want to showcase the best fit outs of the store. They know that it makes a huge impression on the consumer, and the windows are very, very important. So they are working more seriously on the windows, because that's the touch point. You can come, like a consumer can come to the shopping center, and after that all brands are equal in a way. Then the window is what that attracts to inside the store. And then second change, we are seeing that some brands, like especially Reliance Brands Limited or Tommy Hilfiger, there's a key difference in the staff appointed. They are very well educated. They are one of the consumers, so they can interact with consumers very easily, very well. So quality of sales staff, which was earlier, I don't know, it was not one of the preferred jobs, but now the youngsters are coming out, and they are very happy selling inside the store. So that is a significant change, because after all, you have spent so much, like retailer has spent so much money in acquiring a location, then doing a doing fit out and then filling the stock. But the decision making point is with the human capital inside the store. So if we pay a little bit extra or take extra care of the frontline sales staff, that makes a huge difference. That's my personal experience in the shopping center, that certain staff members of the store makes a huge difference. So retailers are now in a very, very good situation with regards to fit out, acquiring a location, knowing where. Now they know what is going to the profit and what is going to a loss. It is not a vague situation. They know the range now, that if they fail, how much they will fail. If they win, how much they will win. It's not left only to the destiny. So they are much more objective about it. They have experience. They have even supply chain management issues are now reducing. Earlier warehouse was used to be far away, replenishment was once a week, now it's more often. So in the whole chain has learned its lessons, including the shopping centers. Having said that, it's an ongoing journey. Every day is a new day. It comes with a new challenge, and finally we are able to deal with it. We are flexible and agile.
That's lovely. And it's a great statement to end the show with. And Yogeshwar, you have been delightful in new learnings and new thoughts. I thoroughly enjoyed having this conversation and many new ideas. I did make some notes. And I'm sure the audience will enjoy this conversation. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Mapic India viewers, for your time to watch this, and look forward to seeing you again in the third episode.
Lovely. Thanks, Shubhranshu. Thanks, Mapic. Thank you.